Hello, welcome to Confidence with Coffee. My name is Heather. I'm so excited that you're here, and I am even more excited to be able to share with you observations, reflections, inspirations from recording our podcast with the amazing Martha Mok. I just love the content of this podcast. So I'm going to suggest you go check it out. It's wherever you get your podcast, Confidence with Coffee. No, Confidence Through Cabaret. This is Confidence with Coffee. I found that Martha's work as the super confidence coach to be just such a worthy message. And I wanted to come on and do this segment and just share with you some of my own reflections. You know, when you do a podcast, you really try and hear the guest story. And I know that some people prefer the interaction. I just want everyone's story to be heard. And it would be so easy to end up hijacking it with my own story, or, kind of saying, well, yeah, me too, and get really excited. So I wanted to do this segment here with you to just really kind of share some of my own reflections. You know, Martha's a confidence coach. I've been a business and confidence coach for over 25 years. And I a lot of times find what coaches have to say, kind of like, yeah, I've been there, done that. But, Martha shares her story, and the main lesson that she shares with us is her vulnerability. And I really struggled to share my vulnerability for a really long time. I felt a lot of guilt about my past marriages. I felt a lot of shame about it. I didn't want people to know. I wanted it to appear like, it was all seamless, and people would say, how do you do it? And I'd say, it's no problem. Very much like the typical swan thing, kind of feet paddling like crazy at the bottom of the underneath the water, and then just gracefully skimming across the surface. If I'm really honest with you, I was very, very busy. I have a business training consultancy that I've had for over 25 years, and I travel all over the world with corporate clients. So I was very busy either traveling or doing work or volunteering. I managed a rugby team for children. I I have cabaret and aerial dance as my hobbies. I have a rich social life. I kept busy. And what I didn't know, I just thought it was all joy and it was all wonderful. What I didn't realize until 2020, when I had to get quiet and stay indoors for a long time, is that the reason I was keeping busy is because I didn't want to be vulnerable. I didn't want to ask the question, how do I feel? I didn't want to ask the question, how am I doing? And how am I processing all the things that have happened in my life? And I also, not only did I not want to admit it to myself, I couldn't admit it to others. So when we try to share it with a trusted friend or coach or therapist, it has to come through us and out into the world to share it with someone else. And I didn't want it to come through me. Um, and so a lot of what Martha Mok was sharing with Ryan and I was just about, what a gift vulnerability is. And I have to say, I could not agree more. I I wouldn't have been able to say that even a couple of years ago. I wouldn't have been able to be, I would have thought I was vulnerable, but I wouldn't have been able to get really, truly vulnerable with it and trust myself, let alone somebody else. And as Martha and I discussed about little bunny steps, little bunny hops, not, trying to do too much all at once, not trying to, tackle the world with it, but really just trying to slowly release that sense of guilt and shame. And I can tell you, when you release it, it is a huge weight lifted. Some people might be feeling vulnerable or some guilt or some shame about what they did or didn't do during lockdown, for example, in 2020 and into 2021. And they might be thinking, oh, I should have made more use of it, or I started a business and it didn't work, or I, tried this thing, or I applied for this job and it didn't work. And I would say, just keep going. Like, you have to keep showing up. But in order to show up, you have to be able to go through it and feel it. And I can tell you, I spent most of my adult life in a kind of a what I call a permafrost, like fully frozen, like the Snow Queen, and not and not able to let anybody in. But the problem is, I also couldn't let myself out. I couldn't let my potential go. I couldn't let it flow. And it is a lot easier to say this than to go through that. But if you are somebody who seems like you're out there and you've got it all together and inside you don't, I can tell you that well is deep inside you. It's a long process, but it is worth it. And it is nowhere near as scary as it seemed to me anyway. Um, I love what Martha shares with us about, saying to yourself, I deserve happiness and I'm worthy. And you need to know that you are worthy and that you will still be loved, possibly even more, because people will get to know you more if you can release some of that, if you can trust someone, if you can trust yourself and open that up. If you don't have someone or someone, then join our Facebook community, Confidence Through Cabaret. I promise you, it's a safe space. People share. I mean, not major therapy issues, but people share. I'm feeling bad about my body and I can't do anything else, and I'm really struggling, and it makes me not want to exercise, which makes me feel worse about my body. So it's a vicious circle. We get it. There is somebody in our community that has had some form of a similar experience or can relate to what you're going through. So get there. If you don't have a trusted place or a trusted friend, stay away from the toxic areas that support the negative thinking, or the thinking where you've got to be so tough or so powerful, or so we don't always want to be tough and powerful. We don't always want to be in that masculine energy, and we are not designed to be. We should be having a balance between feminine and masculine energy. And feminine energy is about feeling, and it's about vulnerability, and it's about creativity, and it's about manifesting what you want. I'm not talking about to sit there and wish for it and it comes to you. I'm talking about like just being open to the opportunities and expressing your passion. And we're meant to be able to tap into that feminine side as well. And I think I went about using my version of feminine energy was wearing makeup and pretty things, and then sort of saying, "See, I'm feminine." But actually, I was never letting the feminine in. I was doing all the time, driving more, always busy, achieving, spinning plates, and it is important to find that divine feminine inside, and that balance as well. And if there is something you can comment here, you can comment in our Facebook group, you can reach out to me. I'm Heather Jean on Facebook and Instagram. If you want to share things, and I don't know, I know a lot of people after 25 years in the self-help and interpersonal skills industry. So I'll help you find somebody, but it is such a worthy thing. And that's why I wanted to come on here and make this video and talk to you about confidence with coffee. So there's my coffee. So I think, asking for help, I think once you've done that, if you're already on that journey, the other thing that I wanted to say is that there are likely to be triggers for a very long time, if not forever. There are still things from my abusive marriage. There are still things from being a full-time carer of my second husband who passed away of Alzheimer's. There are still things where all of a sudden I'll go, that's not okay. And it doesn't have to be somebody talking about Alzheimer's or passing away or even necessarily some of the abuse. It could just be a message that I interpret in a certain way and think, oh, I'm still blaming myself for some of what happened in my abusive marriage. Or, oh, I'm still blaming myself and believing those messages, that the gaslighting from the abusive marriage, from my mother, from bless her, and even from my husband with Alzheimer's, that gaslighting of messages. A lot of times I internalize those and believed those, and I catch myself every once in a while. And I wanted to just say about the triggers is just when you notice a trigger, and we all have them. I didn't think I had them until 2020. Can you believe it? We all have those triggers. Then notice it. And then just maybe not even in that moment, but notice it and then delve into it and sort of say, what's informing that? What it can be something. My mother passed away this year, but she always used to say to me, "You're so impatient," and I really didn't like it. It was like as long as I could remember, I'd been told I'm so impatient, and every once in a while, when I'm feeling impatient, I think, oh, that's my mother's voice. And no, I don't have to be this way just because I've grown up being told and therefore believing it. So that's a trigger. I've gone through the process. I've looked at the root cause. I've looked at the truth. I found my own truth. And our conditioning doesn't have to be our reality. We can change it just little by little, just noticing those triggers. If you need more help, then you probably need more than a coach. You might need a therapist, and that's said with the most love and respect possible, because getting help is the best thing that any of us can do. And I don't believe that we're meant to have it all figured out. I just believe that we're meant to take up the support that's available for us. So check out the podcast with Martha Mok. It's amazing. It's about 45 minutes, maybe a couple minutes more than that. And we share all kinds of things about finding your why, and about coaching, and about the tools that we use to feel good outside of our body and inside of our body. We talk about neurolinguistic programming. We talk about makeup. We don't talk about makeup. We talk about the tools. So makeup is one of the tools. And I've said this many times that lipstick is my superpower. So, check out the podcast, Confidence Through Cabaret, wherever you get your podcasts. Join our Facebook group in Facebook, Confidence Through Cabaret. In fact, all of it is Confidence Through Cabaret, except for on Clubhouse, I am at Heather, and then the letters YBYWYS. And also on Twitter, we are at YBYWYS. And those letters stand for it's your body, and it's your world, and it is your stage. Take up space. Own it. Bye.